guess we're back, in case we really are. Thank you so much to, Banks and Donna Vizca for that beautiful interview. And if that isn't a storyline that we almost kind of touched on, because Solis, he took down Ketched just before entering the top 5, and then he took it home as well. Now, that is something they obviously now in hindsight probably are celebrating, but it could have gone differently, you know?
I did like what John and Black were saying during that game too, is like, you know, trying to make signals, almost smoke signals with the smoke. It's like, it's me, you're shooting it out right now, but it's just good fun, and it seemed like they were just having some fun after the game, and man, it's just like, no, just a little bit of an avant-bouche, we can also say that works too, guys, before these first matches, and it's been a good start to the day.
Stop saying all these French words. There's only one French word I know, and I cannot say it, Max.
Definitely don't want to.
I do want to touch on something as well. That was really interesting because we had 2 Vampire players in the top 4, and none of them made it into the top 2. Look, both went out almost immediately afterwards, which is quite the bummer, I can imagine.
Yeah. With that, let me take on that real quick. You pointed it out, too. When there was a Final 4, there was one player that just wasn't moving. He was just waiting patiently, and that was Ravenclaw. And he decided to, I think we heard Blank say it too, that he decided until the last minute to just get that last heal. I wish he would have rotated a little bit early, but at the end of the day, it is a show match.
And I do have to say, one player that really impressed us, despite not taking the win in that game, it was Rules.
Yes.
From DRS. He had, what, like 6 eliminations?
6 eliminations.
And he's been constantly like moving about, playing different ridge lines, third-partying a few fights here and there. Like, it's not easy in that kind of situation. If you were a player that was on the East, you're dead.
yeah, he was playing the blue zone. He was kind of just moving along with it, and it ended up working out for him. 6 elims. That's a great way to start the day.
I do have to say, there was one frag where I was particularly impressed because he had to cross the street on towards the compound that we saw in the end, and he was on the east side of it. And he took, I don't know who it was, but he took one of the players down that was having a car and like a smoke in order to cover himself from the compound, and that was the most important fact, the one I was most impressed with, because it was a really hard aim fight to take. And he actually made it work. That was the point where I thought, okay, this play could actually, you know, gain him some actual confidence in terms of bringing that energy over into Pmgc final games.
Yeah, ultimately he just wasn't blessed by the sound.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I like you made like said the most basic like call out stuff. I think the circle's going to be pretty important, and
I didn't say that.
I'm just making fun.
Just like you didn't pick order either. I got you, baby. Who was it that you picked?
I picked Kengzo.
That's who I thought. Okay, so that means you're not cursing people right away. Nice.
He did.
Who did?
Yes, I actually did. I actually kind of did. I picked Paraboy. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Actually, I expect one King. I think King was in really late.
Yeah,
and
him and Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy had a pretty good position as well. I actually expected them to do way better.
I can actually give you my pick since it is after the game. Do you want to take a guess?
I don't want. No, I don't know.
It's not who you think it is.
Who is it?
I actually had Revo from Alpha 7.
When did you?
I had an actual
one chance to like, just pick it.
I wasn't just waiting to see who was going to win. I was like, let's see how he does.
I want my respect for you just a little bit higher. Just a tad. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting things. He was saying in the interview, I do have to come back to Solis to some degree because I thought that was really interesting. I mean, you know, Banks asked him straight away. He pinpointed that question pretty directly. He said, "Is that going to give you confidence in terms of going into the next games?" And we were talking earlier if that game is even going to be played seriously to some degree. Do they actually care in terms of are they still inside the next games in terms of what are they focusing on? Yeah. And I felt like Solis, he was focused on that game, and something like that. Even though he didn't have the most amount of kills, and I think Rules maybe in terms of confidence he's got kind of, maybe an even bigger boost of confidence. But I do think that is going to make a difference.
I think it somewhat set the tone in terms of micro because, once again, players trying to get heated up, ready for the first match, like the first real game that we're going to have with teams. And I think it just set the tone of okay, this is the kind of level we're going to be expecting if we're taking 1v1 scenarios and such. So yeah, it's a good little start, and Solis. I mean, he was looking really just. I was like, oh man, this guy's got presence on the stage right now, and he did great in that first game.
In a way, the thing that they might have taken very serious was those 1v1s when it came down to it, right? They are going to be able to get that information. If for some reason we do end up seeing some of those 1v1s, they're going to just reflect a little bit more on this show match. Even though it was a show match, they didn't want to die. They didn't want to get eliminated, so they're going to be like, okay, earlier I threw a smoke there and he decided to go a different way. Earlier I threw a molly there and he reacted this certain way. So who knows, maybe it'll come to play, but I really doubted that a lot of the players were taking it serious.
No, I don't. Yeah,
just
maybe not like 100% series, not like a Pmgc grand final kind
Yeah.
of series, but it was interesting either way. Well, while we're already on the topic of Fireflies, because when I met them, I was tapping on Sokai's shoulder and I was like, hey, I'm here. And I was saying him, Pmgc? I was tapping his, and I was like, one, because at that point, I was still very much sure that Fireflies have one of the best chances overall in taking Pmgc. Now that tournament, they weren't exactly super strong, but either way, that particular team, how do you rate their chances? Let's just break it down, right? Fireflies, what are their chances for you and for you?
I would say there's a very big chance they'll be in the top 5. Like, looking at
Top 5?
how this year's been going so far for like Turkey as a whole. Oh, you think that's too much?
Okay,
Come on.
yeah, keep going.
I'm saying that we got Turkish casters right next door. I do not want to get in trouble. But I think top 5 is. No, you don't think so?
Now that you say that, I might have to change.
Your top 3 is all Brazilian teams. I get
No,
it. Okay?
no, it's
Give
not.
chances
It's
to
not.
other regions, 7.
It's
Please.
not. I see like a top 7.
I wonder why. Wow, what a weird number.
Not because of that. I feel like they can possibly get to that top 5, but I don't know. I'm just not sold on it. That's the main thing. I'm not just sold on it. We have seen them being able to clutch up in certain instances. We have seen them being able to do certain things differently, right? We talk about the clutch factor as we see the fans getting super, super hype in the back, but I'm just not sold on a top 5 situation out of them.
Then
Yeah,
neither.
that sounds
apparently. Straight on complaints, but
They're agreeing with me.
the thing is, SGG can make it happen to you. They've already been having players that can play at this stage.
Yes.
So, Turkey, once again, a strong region.
Yeah.
Could be potentially trying to take it away from Nova Esports.
See, I have STG actually on top 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? At least you got one of the Turkish teams, so I
Yeah.
respect that.
Yeah.
So what's it with you in SCG then? Because you said Kalsi, he impressed you so much throughout not only PMGC, but throughout the whole year. Is that something you would maybe put in front of Fireflies right now?
I do think SGG could make it too. The thing is, I think only one of the 2 Turkish teams. Which one is it going to be? I have no idea as of right now, but I do think Turkey has what it takes to have at least one of the teams to make it in the top 5. A win could be possible too, but the thing is, they are a team that if they are on a good day, they're high up there. They can get like 3 wins in a row. It could happen, but they need to be in that top tier performance.
This is your only chance today. You can change your pick for that top 5 for the Turkish team. Would you want it to be S2G or would you want it to be Fireflies?
Because you're going for SGG.
No. Don't factor mine. Don't factor mine. It's purely on you.
I commit to Fireflux. Okay, there you
Oh.
go. There you go. Now you got
Respect
SGG.
it.
We got that competition.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Interesting. Very interesting, because I would have said SCG now as well. But then again, I have sympathies for it's hard because of the sympathies thing. They always play some part, some role into it. Don't tell me your sympathies don't play into your Brazil picks.
Yeah, they definitely do.
I was thinking about it.
I was thinking about something completely different. I was actually thinking about Jimmy, the way he played that show match. He was just like cool, calm, collected, just usual Jimmy.
On the beach? Just
Yeah,
like,
just chilling.
good time.
But he was actually putting himself in great situations, and then the circle just ended up not being in his favor. He ended up sending it, and that's something that he's not used to doing by himself. But if we're going back to what you were saying earlier, if it's anybody taking it serious, you could tell that Jimmy was like, I really want to win this.
I mean, you said it right. IGLs could try and get himself
yeah.
in good positions, and I was impressed that IGLs made it that far. So you know what?
It was.
You were good on that call, and also the circle was important.
If it would have had at least a little bit of cover, just a little bit of cover, I think it would have ended up top 3.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate position.
Yeah.
But the circle, we know, doesn't happen very often. If we have that circle happen again during this tournament, you'll be like, oh wait, this happened. Maybe we can make things work a little bit. But yeah, good start, and man, the hype is just insane. I just can't wait.
It's
for
crazy.
the game. It's.
I mean,
absolutely.
I still have goosebumps. Like, literally, look at this.
No,
I
what did
still
you say?
have goosebumps.
You had what? Goosebumps? I think you had
Goosebumps. Did I actually say goosebumps? Oh my goodness.
I wonder if they gave that,
No,
that
but seriously.
big flag over to Blank. He was cold. I think you need to give it to
Was
him.
he?
Did they give it to him? Oh, he's still cold over there. Someone give him a flag, please.
I love it.
I
When
love
we saw
the
the drums
energy.
coming in, that was like the icing on the cake. All the players coming in, all the audience members coming in, everyone's just trying to support their teams, but then the drummers, and then the army. Oh, honestly, I'm just blown away. Touching, while we still have the time, touching on a topic while we're already at the topic, which is Nova, right? These guys, at this point, they must almost feel comfortable winning championships, like it's nothing. Do you think that is an advantage, or do you think they still feel like they have not won a championship at all when they enter this stage? What do you think their mindset is going to be? Because you were talking to Parable earlier. You probably know him to some degree personally as well. Is
I
that
mean,
something that affects him?
They're friends, yeah.
They are.
This is bro.
It works out somehow, even though I don't speak Chinese. But hey, translate tools are amazing. Anyways, what I was gonna say in regards to Noah is that I do feel like they come in with a chip on their shoulder every single time. They want to get the win. They kind of forget about that. It doesn't really matter. I mean, Pmgc, yeah, that was last year, right? They are back-to-back champions, but that's gonna be not in the back of their minds. Now they're currently here in Jakarta. They're going to be looking to make that back-to-back, win 3 times in a row, which is going to be absolutely insane if they are going to be able to do that. I feel like they are going to put themselves in certain situations with what I was saying with Paraboy. I mean, he wants to, in a way, challenge himself a little bit more by deciding to change out his layout, see if that's going to help him out in a big way. It could hinder his performance, or we could see a completely different Paraboy. But it just goes to show that he's trying to try different things to keep on improving. And that's what you want to see out of a team that's at the top.
The one thing I love about Nova, really, and I don't know if you agree potentially on this one, Seven, is that I have the impression nothing gets to them. Like, it doesn't matter what they did last year. It doesn't matter what they did the year before that. It doesn't matter how they performed in PEL. They're only focused on the exact moment, like, in front of them right now. Every single game is one opportunity to get those points, to perform, to get that chicken dinner. That's what I love about this team so far. And, you know, the roster's already proven themselves to be so good. But even if they need to make changes, they can make changes in a snap of a finger, just like that. And that is how they've been able to be twice in a row world champions in PUBG Mobile Esports. And so far, it hasn't changed too much. There's a chance they could really, big chance even, to make it happen again here.
People are always trying to catch up to them. I mean, for the longest time, it was always Nova, right? But yeah, Paraboy, we talked about them. But then they also have players that was able to back them up. When we talked about some of the other teams, it was either just 1 or 2 players. It was never 4 players overall like it was for Nova. Now we're starting to see some of the other teams starting to get full for players that can actually frag out, that can actually perform really, really well. So we can see the teams from different regions and how it's starting to slowly catch up to Nova. But Nova, I feel like they're just going to be a completely different animal. It comes down to how they're going to be starting off day 1, right? And this is something that we got a chance to talk about too. And we have seen it in the previous as well from viewers. They tend to see Nova maybe start a little bit slow in day 1. And they're like, oh, Nova's not the same as they were last year. They're not going to be able to win this. And then all of a sudden, Nova shows up day 2 and just decides to shut up everybody. So, and I feel like if for some reason Nova has a great performance here on day 1, some of the other teams are not going to be able to afford to even have a bad game.
It's pretty interesting. We saw Nova having kind of a slow start in the PMGC group stage as well. I remember reading some of the comments after the first game day, after the first 5-6 games we've played, and even going into the second day, some of the people said, well, Nova, no, I think, you know, originally starting, I had them in my favorites, but then, you know, they've kind of gone away.
They
like,
fell off.
Just 5 games. That was like, okay, that is interesting. They fell off. Did
I was taking the comments.
I know.
I didn't say that. I did not say
I
that.
totally believe you.
Clip
Don't
it.
roast him. Don't roast him. He's innocent.
PMGC.
He is innocent. But yeah, so I was reading that and I was so starstruck.
Gonna get me in trouble.
by these comments.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, is that every single time, like, the audience are going to be like, well, this one bad day, okay, oh, this team fell off. Not the case. The thing is, Nova, once again, and we keep saying that about this team, when it truly matters, that's when they're going to put their foot down and say, now we're not messing around anymore, and that's when they start really getting the points. What was in the last day of Group Green? I think they got themselves a second place, a chicken dinner, another chicken dinner, all in a row, back to back to back. That is what they can do when they're in like a little bit of a bad spot. They can just put themselves back in a comfortable position.
And I'm really big on momentum, and I feel like Nova is one of those teams that can definitely carry that momentum, right? And if we're talking about momentum, you know I got to talk about Alpha 7. I had to say, because this is a team that definitely relies a lot of momentum. If they start slow, it's going to be a horrible, horrible day for them. This is a team that needs to at least have a top 5 situation for them to feel confident, and I know they want to win because I was able to talk with the Rio, I was able to talk with all the players, and they said, I told them, I was like, oh, I think you guys can definitely finish top 3. They looked at me, and I thought I was about to get beat up. They were like, no, number 1. I was like, okay, do you?
It is interesting. I just want to, I know we've said it millions of times, but just look at this. I think they have formed an area now, an area of support. Can you see this? I think you can see on the camera as well. Right?
In one area.
They've got flags as well now. What is coming next? This is sensational, honestly.
They're infiltrating.
Oh my goodness, they are dancing and jumping. If you're here, you would feel the ground shaking, literally shaking. It is crazy. It is absolutely absurd. Well, we will be heading down to the stage very soon. I do want to ask you one final question. And just straight up like that. I mean, your answer is already kind of done. I mean, for what? We'll see. Is Nova gonna pick up the 3rd championship? Oh no.
It would be such a good storyline, yes.
Wait, will we get?
Hello, PUBG Mobile fans in Indonesia and in the world. My name is James Yang, Director of PUBG Mobile Global Esports. I'm here today to share exciting news about our esports plans for 2023. As a summary, 2022 has been a milestone year for PUBG Mobile Esports. We hosted 13 PMPLs in 5 regions with 343 teams and more than 2,000 players. A record-breaking 600,000 teams registered for 2022 PUBG Mobile Club Open. Also, with the love and support of our fans and the hard working of our pro players, we won Esports Mobile Game of the Year at 2022 Esports Award. Massive thanks to everyone. Moving on to 2023, I'm happy to share we are making a number of upgrades to PUBG Mobile Pro League. Firstly, PMPL Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines will become PMPL Malaysia. Also, we are introducing PMPL Southeast Asia wildcard, which will cover the Philippines, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Singapore region. This will provide more pro-level options for those teams in South Asia regions. Secondly, PUBG Mobile is committed to providing more semi-pro and amateur promotion opportunities than ever before. The reintroduced PMPL qualifiers will act as a gateway to those teams for PMPL in 2024. Teams will gain access to PMPL qualifiers by competing in PUBG Mobile National Championship, PUBG Mobile Club Open, and authorized third-party tournaments. One of our key aims in 2023 is to foster more exciting region vs region rivalries. After the success of our first PUBG Mobile regional clash in 2022, we will introduce more PMRC tournaments in this year. We are also making the changes to the rules to make improving more player experience. We will be transiting to 10-point system across all tournaments to make the games more exciting and competitive. In 2023, fans can see PUBG Mobile Esports represented in 32 Southeast Asia games taking place in May in Cambodia, and the 19th Asian Games hosted in Hangzhou, China, starting in September. It's an honor to be recognized by 2 major sporting bodies. PUBG Mobile Esports will once again hold 2 global tournaments in 2023. The PUBG Mobile World Invitational in Riyadh in July, and the PUBG Mobile Global Championship, which I am pleased to announce, will be starting in November, and the grand finals will be held in Turkey for the first time. Thank you to everyone for being tuned in. And we are so much excited about what is to come in 2023. So now, let's get back to all the action to 2022 Pmgc Grand Finals! Terima kasih!
And welcome back to the desk. That is some exciting news, if I may say so. Not only do we have 2 big international sports events in which we will see PUBG Mobile, the SEA Games, and obviously the 19th Asian Games, but we will have the Pmgc in Turkey. Wow, and it's starting in November as well, so we get to see that even earlier.
Yeah, I mean, you know when James Yang is here, you know you're going to have some good news,
Oh,
and that
yes.
is some
Oh,
great
yes.
news, Seven. In Turkey, we're going to have it over in... I was going to say, you're not over in Europe. I'm in Europe. I'm really happy about this. You'll have to travel a little
Hopefully
bit.
I'll be there. Hopefully, I think we'll be there again. I mean, I'm super excited that it is going to be there. I'm super excited that we are going to be having the grand finals in December as well. It's not going to be given a long break for the players. I think that's going to be mixing it up. And I mean, we saw the 10-point system announcement too. We saw the regional clashes, which we were talking about it. Nothing has been announced. But Maxman and I were just streaming about Americas versus Europe. It would be just such an amazing clash.
It'll be rough to make it happen, but if it does happen, I would say that would be the best rivalry.
Yes.
Americas versus Europe, you just can't beat that.
Americas
it is
would
meant
definitely
to
win.
be.
Americas would win.
No.
I'm sorry, somebody from Europe.
I can't believe you just
It
done
could
that.
become the new classic. It could become the new classic. Before we get into the matches, though, we want to quickly keep you updated on everything that is going on over the next 3 days. The schedule is as follows. Today, starting today, in just a couple of minutes, actually, we will see the first game, and then 5 more. 6 matches today, 6 matches tomorrow, and another 6 matches on January the 8th. So for the next 3 days, stay tuned. Remember to follow your socials. Remember to tune in live every single day until January 8th, because you will not be... Yeah,
Disappointed?
you're not disappointed. You just complete my sentence. That's perfect, actually. You will not be disappointed. We will be having the point system. What you just saw will be for next year. So we will be having the normal point system that we just saw throughout last year. 15, 12, 10 in the first 3 places. And obviously 1 additional point for eliminations.
Exactly, elimination is going to be pretty important going into it, but also we've got to keep in mind, Seven, this is going to be something that impacts it. The circle settings are the same as the league stage. No heel strat is going to happen here.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that because I never liked when that happened, okay? It was always one of my less favorable things when we went to Sandhawk, so I'm glad that's not going to be the case, and we're seeing how those teams were able to qualify here. You can see the last chance. I mean, they had it the worst, but that's where 2 of the Brazilian teams came out of, and we're seeing IHC Esports there as well, DRS Gaming. And then when we go to the special invites, Wolf Esports and Alter Ego, I feel like those are the biggest question marks here for this grand finals. How are they going to be able to perform since they haven't really gotten a chance to really go up against these teams?
And there we have it. We will be starting off with Erangel. The competitive rotation will be as follows.
Yeah, of course, going to be starting things off with Erangel followed up with Miramar, Sanok, Erangel once again, Miramar, and then Erangel. 3 Erangels. If you can perform well on that battlegrounds here, Seven, that is going to be your way to stand out on the rankings.
Yeah, sorry.
crowd-
I'm just hyped up because we saw Sandhawk there, and also the crowd is getting me hyped up. We've been talking about it for a minute, too. But you mentioned it perfectly. I feel like this teams definitely need to narrow it down their performances in Erangel when it comes out to the most. And if for some reason, something that we have seen happen over and over again, if they do start bad in those 2 first matches, which is Erangel and Miramar, I hope whatever team it is, uses Sandhawk to kind of just bring it back. And we have seen teams do that before.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many things to take into account, but also we're just, I think, just a few minutes away now from jumping into our very first game. Thing is, it's a 3-day event. There are not many games that are going to be happening here. You're never going to be safe. Do not throw a game away. Every point is going to count here.
And there we have it. We have teams to watch from both of you guys. You already put them in there. Maxman has Nova, Godlike Stalwarts, and Geek. Care to explain, Max?
I mean, Stalwart makes sense, Nova makes sense too, but also Geek Fam, once again, I think one of the biggest surprises in how dominant they were in the league stage. If we see that kind of performance in the finals, I can tell you, Seven, I would like to see if they can try and be in that top 3, maybe take home a trophy.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I got Alpha 7 actually in the top 3 situation. I don't have them winning the tournament, but I am going to be looking forward to see how they start off the day with Nova. I mean, we talked about it earlier. Can they actually just show up and showcase why they are the back-to-back grand finals champions for PMGC? And then I have none other than Alter Ego, because I feel like it's just such a big question mark. This is a team that can definitely end up surprising a lot of people. We see the energy, and you know that just as much as we are feeding off that energy, the players are going to be feeding off that energy as well. The one big question mark that I do have with Alter Ego is their previous performances haven't really been that well, so we'll have to wait and see how they're going to be performing here on the first game.
And with that being said, we will be heading over to John Allen and Blank. Take it away, boys, and have fun with the match.
Thank you very much. We are indeed going to have plenty of fun today. We've got 6 matches for these teams to get their teeth stuck into to kick things off the first third of the games.
Yeah, there's going to be a fair few matches we've got on the cards today. Obviously, we've done one of them, the show match, and then we've had all these really cool announcements, you know, with Turkey as well being the
yeah.
next. Oh, we're already confirmed that in, locked that in. That's in the calendars now, which is good news. Obviously, with the new points change as well, going down to 10 for that chicken dinner and getting much less points, down to even 0 towards the bottom end of those placements, which means that eliminations are going to become much more important next year. You're going to have to be certainly a competitive team. You can't just send towards that center anymore. That isn't the case where you just play for those 12, 13 points towards that top side of the lobby. It's just an impossibility now. So this is going to really, really put a massive change on the terms of performance of a lot of these teams. However, we will be getting into our first, technically our first game of Pmgc 2022 Grand Finals very, very shortly. Already you can see just the masses of support that is out right now for Alter Ego. By the way, that back there, that little sign, that wasn't put up by us. That's the fans. They are very efficient in creating a nice little zone for those guys to stay in, which is beautiful stuff.
They bring their own. They bring their own signage. It's brilliant. You love to see it.
Yeah,
Look at the players.
They did some redecoration quite quickly.
Oh, hang on a minute. No. we need to sort this out. Come on. Bring in the signs. And they did. Fantastic support being shown for the players in this tournament. You can see them starting to focus in now, Blank. They are very much getting in the zone at this stage. Look at that. Barely moving a muscle apart from those hands.
Yeah, IHC definitely looks there to be very serious. Again, for Alter Ego, I think we've met the coach now a few times now, Denny. He's a really great guy, actually, very nice. I think that the major thing that he did for me earlier was he showed me around because I didn't know where I was going. So he was like, I'm very good with directions. And I was like, thank you. And now I've not got lost once. However, I'm sure he's also a very good coach as well. So we're heading into the first game right now, John.
Match number 1 of the PMGC 2022 here in Jakarta. Erangel, the first match as it always is, Blank. We will be getting on with the plane. This time, it's headed from the west side down towards the Sosnovka military base. It's cutting a little bit low on the island, so there's northern parts of the map going to be a little bit less accessible.
Yeah, a bit more difficult to head up towards Stalbert. Maybe Yaz is still accessible, but this does mean maybe fighting for vehicles on that eastern side, which becomes quite difficult, becomes a little bit of an issue, a bit of a problem for some of these teams. Do you want to cross those paths on that side? Do you want that bad luck that could bring? Also on the east, some players, some teams heading out very, very early over towards the west here. You get Demo from IHC setting up towards South George. C2K is already dropping out. Nova looks like they're heading up towards Gatka at the moment. And Vampire down towards Primorsk, a very typical spot for them.
We did see Nova have a little bit of trouble with Gatka during their gameplay in the group stages. There was another team that was dropping down there with them, but it looks like they managed to isolate that this time around. T2K going a little bit further on. Silas maybe a little bit too close to comfort. Hot drop on a vehicle potentially, but S2G may be looking to lose a player. And this early in the game would be far from ideal. S2G a little bit further east for the rest of them on this engagement. IHC dropped all the way to the west on the coast, grab 2 vehicles, will be able to tuck themselves nice and healthy. The first circle pops. It's fairly central, centered on Potato Hill.
This is a nice circle as well, considering you don't have to move too far towards that northern side. This plane path doesn't really cause too much ruckus, maybe in the sense that obviously getting towards that top side of the map and getting some of those positions is quite rough. I think that what you're looking at the moment, though, is some of these teams quickly sending out. Obviously, IHC sent out early over towards that western side. They've moved up towards shooting range, up towards South George